Hello friends, today we will study conditional sentences. There are a few kinds of conditional sentences, in fact 4 of them. Zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, third conditional. 4 of them. We will study each one of them one by one. Zero conditional, this is the first kind of conditional and it is used to describe scientific facts or things that are generally true. And its structure would be, well, every conditional structure has 2 clauses. One is dependent clause, the other one is independent clause. Here in dependent clause, we'll use simple present tense. In independent clause also we'll use simple present tense. Both the clauses in zero conditional will take simple present tense. Simple present tense means first form of the verb, and if the subject is singular, the verb will take s or es. For example, if you heat ice, it melts. So if you heat ice, heat is the first form of the verb, simple present tense. Melts is simple present tense again. In both the clauses there is simple present tense. Now more examples. If John goes out of the office, I take his calls. It's generally true that when he goes out, I take his calls. I generally take his calls when he goes out. If people eat too much, they get fat. That's what happens. If people eat too much, first form of the verb, simple present tense, they get fat. Get is simple present tense again. Both the clauses are taking simple present tense. Then people die if they don't eat. People die, die is simple present tense, don't is the negative of first form, negative of simple present tense. So people die if they don't eat. Another example would be, you get water if you mix hydrogen and oxygen. It's a scientific fact. So this is zero conditional. The next conditional is first conditional. It is also called possible conditional or real conditional. Possible conditional because it is possible. Real conditional because it can actually happen. It can become real. Uses to describe real possibilities in future. Well, the structure would be in dependent or if clause, there will be simple present tense, first form, that is first form of the verb with ses if required. And in independent clause, which is also called resultant clause, it will be will, shall, can, may, might, must plus first form. One of these. Will, shall are used for future statements. I will go there, I shall do it, like that. Okay. Can is used for ability in the present or in the future. I can do it today, I can do it tomorrow. And then may and might are used for possibilities in the present or in the future. He may come right now. He might come right now. He may come tomorrow. He might come the day after tomorrow. Like that. Must is used for obligation or for a very strong piece of advice. You must do it. Like that. So we can use one of these modal auxiliaries plus first form in independent clause in the possible conditional. So, and the example is, if you come late, I will punish you. If you come late, this is dependent clause beginning with if. It is dependent clause and it is taking first form of the verb. And then the other clause, independent clause or resultant clause, is taking will plus first form. Other examples are, if you work hard, you will achieve your goals. If you work hard is taking first form or simple present tense, and then you will achieve your goals is will plus first form. If you try harder, you can do it. Try harder is simple present tense and then can do, modal, can is a modal, and then do is first form, as we see in the structure. Even if she tries these methods, she may still fail. So I'm using may here, may plus first form, may still fail. Even if she puts in her best now, she might still fail. So I just used might in this sentence. Then if you get some command, you must immediately carry it out. Must is obligation here, compulsion. You must do it. There's no other way. So we have seen that in the first conditional we use first form in if clause and will, shall, can, may, might, must. One of them plus first form in independent clause. The next one is second improbable imaginary conditional. We either call it second conditional or improbable conditional or imaginary conditional. It's hypothetical. It's not real. It's unreal. You have to imagine it. Uses to describe unreal imaginary possibilities in present or future time. Now this conditional does not describe past time or things that happened in the past. Well, it always describes unreal or imaginary possibilities in present or in future. The structure is this. We either use simple past tense, that is second form, or we use were plus complement. What is were plus complement? Well, it's simple. They were teachers. Now were and then teachers, like that. So were is were and then teachers is complement. Complement is a thing that completes a sentence. I'm a teacher. Teacher is a complement here. I'm hardworking. Hardworking is a complement here. It completes the sense of the sentence. It completes the sentence. So we use either simple past tense, which is second form, or we use were plus complement. As a matter of fact, even were is second form. It is second form of be. Be is the root, is-mr is the first form, was-were is the second form, been is the third form, being, B-E-I-N-G, being is ing form, progressive form. So we use only were. The second form of be is was or were. We use were alone. We use only were in second conditional, because this conditional is imaginary conditional, hypothetical conditional. We use were for hypothetical situations. For example, if I were a bird, I would fly away. If I were a monkey, I would jump from one tree to another. If I were a doctor, I would treat you. Like that. If she were a teacher, she could teach you. So here we have if she were a teacher. There is another way of saying this. We can say were she a teacher. We can eliminate this if, as we'll see in the examples in a while. Were God with you, you would not really fail. We can say God, if God were with you, you would not fail, or we can say were God with you, you would not really fail. Both of them are right. If Ray were here, I would take his help, but the fact is he's not here. I'm just imagining. It's unreal. It's imaginary conditional. If Ray were here, but the fact is he's not here. And instead of saying if Ray were here, I can also say were Ray here. Were Ray here, I would take his help. Then if you worked hard, I'm using second form here, which is permissible, as we see in the structure above. If you worked hard, you might also succeed. If you worked hard, you might also succeed. If she kept quiet, she would not get punishment. Now, she gets punishment because she does not keep quiet. So I'm just imagining a situation. If she kept quiet, if she did, she would not get. But I'm imagining it because she is too stubborn. She would not keep quiet in the class. If I were free tomorrow, I could come to your party. If I were free tomorrow, look at the combination of were and tomorrow. Were and tomorrow. It's possible because it is imaginary conditional. It describes what? Unreal or imaginary possibilities in present or in future. So it's future one. If I were free tomorrow, I would join your party. If I were free today evening, I would help you. If I were free next week, I would go on a trip. But the fact is, I'm not free. I'm just imagining. And you have to use were, no matter what. I can also say like this, were I free tomorrow, I could come to your party. This is second conditional. Then the third conditional. It is also called impossible conditional or past conditional. Usage. It's used to describe hypothetical or unreal situations in the past. It's used to describe hypothetical or unreal situations in the past. Something that was not done and now cannot be done. If you had got up early in the morning, you would not have missed the train. Well, you can't change it now. It's irreversible. Well, in if clause, here we use had plus third form, which is past perfect tense, and in independent clause we use would, could, might plus have plus third form. Would, could, might, have third form. We use either would or could or might plus have plus third form. If I had got up early, I would have caught the bus. If you had come yesterday, I would have helped you. More examples. If she had studied, she would have passed the exam. But the fact is, she did not study. If I hadn't eaten so much, I wouldn't have felt sick. Well, I felt sick because I had eaten so much. If I hadn't eaten so much, I wouldn't have felt sick. Had we taken a taxi, we wouldn't have missed the plane. Well, we can eliminate this if, and we can start the sentence with had. Instead of saying, if we had taken a taxi, we can say, had we taken a taxi. In the same way, the first one, Had she studied, she would have passed the exam. In the second one, had I not eaten so much, I wouldn't have felt sick. Had you told me, I would have assisted you. It means if you had told me, I would have assisted you. She would have become a teacher if she had gone to university, but the fact is she did not go to university in the past. Some exercise. If you annoy him, you would receive a slap. You have to find an error in this sentence. What's wrong there? Well, if you annoy him, is all right. The first conditional, you would receive a slap? No, you will receive a slap. It should be, if you annoy him, you will receive a slap. What's the structure of the first conditional? Well, first form in if clause and will, can, may, might, should, must plus first form in the independent clause. So if you have first form on one side, that is if clause, then you will have to have will plus first form, or can plus first form, or may plus first form, or might plus first form, or should plus first form, or must plus first form. A modal auxiliary plus first form in the independent clause. If she came here late, I will have to punish her. Well, it's second conditional. How do we know that? We have second form came. So in the second conditional, in the imaginary conditional, in the hypothetical conditional, in the unreal conditional, what happens? We use second form or verb plus complement in if clause, and in independent clause we use would, could, might plus first form. And here it should be, if she came here late, I would have to punish her. Would plus first form. Was she here? You wouldn't dare to say this. Was she here? You wouldn't dare to say this. Well, was is wrong. We don't say was, we say were she here. Clear? In unreal conditional we can only use were. Were she here? You wouldn't dare to say this. Fourth one, if they were your relatives, you won't react like this. So on one side we have were plus complement, on the other side it should be what? Would, could, might plus first form. So won't will not do here, it should be wouldn't. If they were your relatives, you wouldn't react like this. Unless she works hard, she will fail. It should be unless she works hard, she will fail. Why so? Because she is singular and it has to take SES. Had you had tea, you will have felt warm. Had you had tea, it's third conditional, impossible conditional. Had you had tea, you would have felt warm. It should be would have felt. You would have felt warm. Had you took breakfast? Well, it's third conditional. Took is second form, not third form. It should be had you taken breakfast. You wouldn't have starved. If you touched this electric fence, you will lose your life. Touched is second form, which is unreal conditional. So it should be would on the other side, not will. If you touched this electric fence, you would lose your life. If you arrived on time, we would have finished the practice by now. It is third conditional. So it should be if you had arrived on time. In the past, third conditional. It should be if you had arrived on time, we would have finished the practice by now. If you will eat too much, you will be fat. Well, you can't use will plus first form on both sides. You have to use first form on one side. You have to use first form in if clause. If you eat too much, you will be fat.